Hello everyone, and welcome along to the Redmen Originals Podcast with me, Paul Machin. I'm joined by Chris Pajak, by Free Typing Chloe Bloxham, and by Smile and Steve Hoare as well for this one. Yes, for our sins, we have to discuss yet another Liverpool defeat. At least, in fact, have we? What happened since we were last here? We've won a game of football. We beat Real Madrid since we were last here. That's something, right?
It was a great day.
It was a great few days. We won 2 games. Everything felt really good for a bit, and now we're back to earth with a big bump, and everything in inverted commas is
it's all right though,
again.
because we've got another game at No, we haven't got that.
So yeah,
so I'm just fuming for 2 weeks.
Absolutely that. Yeah. So welcome to yet another Redmen TV counselling session as we try to get through this. Because listen, I would say right now, if you have the ability to totally switch off and have it not affect you, now would be a good time. Now would be a good time to just unplug yourself from it all, great. But if like
Thanks,
us...
Paul.
Welcome to Redmen Originals Podcast with me, Paul Machin. Yeah, cool. If you like the rest of us and you can't unplug from it because it is a huge part of your life, then we're going to try and see you through. We'll talk about the ups, we'll talk about the downs, and we'll see if we can work out how the Reds are going to get themselves through it, because ultimately they always do. Eventually. So
sometimes it can take a few years.
Yeah.
Get there eventually.
Yeah, no, but it is right. You know what I mean? Sometimes positivity moves like glaciers, but it does move. Before we dive into it and talk about the match from the weekend, a couple of things I want to draw your attention to. First and foremost, Last Chance Saloon to get involved with oosh.co.uk's latest draw. You can get yourself 2 tickets to Liverpool versus Sunderland, hospitality tickets and a one-night stay, and spend the money in Liverpool for that one. Just click the link in the description underneath and get involved. I'm very, very proud to say the next episode of AXA Player Portrait is out right now, and I have to admit, I've been lucky enough to interview some amazing Liverpool footballers in the men's team and the women's team. This episode was probably the most fun I had to film of all of them so far. I'm going to play a little clip now, but yeah, make sure you head over to the AXA UK YouTube channel to check out the full thing. Here's the clip.
You could land a plane on that.
Mine's not got a nose, I've just remembered.
I'm feeling confident, actually.
Oh, okay.
I've got a problem. She doesn't have them eyebrows.
She's still got the dye on them.
Okay, take your time. Really concentrate. She knows who it is.
Does she wear a lot of makeup?
There's no makeup on her. This is naturally tanned from the sun. Look deeper.
Hey, yes, do check out that full episode on the AXA UK YouTube channel. It was loads and loads of fun. It's one of the things I found doing the interviews with the women's team is men's footballers can be great, and there's some really good examples of it, but they take a little while to warm into like unusual situations. And I think it comes with being at that sort of level, and maybe all the money that comes with it and how protected it is. The women's players are just brilliant from minute one. They're just great people. They're up for a laugh from the first time they put up the pencil on the canvas and that. So yeah, really, really good episode. I do recommend it highly. So
You tried your best to put her off.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's. How are we actually feeling? I will skip over you for a moment, Chris, because obviously we've done a couple of bits and pieces already on this content. I'll come back around to you in due course. I'll start with Chloe. Chloe, you went.
Sadly.
How are you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm just so glad it's an international break. I mean, I've done a full 180 on my thoughts on international football from the start of last season to the start of this season, and it turns out that actually instead of, you know, when you first get that the calendar of fixtures, instead of instantly going to Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool United, I'm looking at the international fixtures and where I can get my bit of rest and my bit of happiness not watching Liverpool. So that's where I am. That was the only positive I got to take from yesterday. But yeah, I'm trying to see the happy side of it, and there's not really one. But we will get there.
It's definitely exacerbated by having Man City fans in close proximity, giving you like sticking bees up at you and laughing and joking. And Chris remembers that very well from the infamous Mane sending off game at the Etihad.
We were talking about that this morning to Chloe, in fact. Did you have people coming over to you who recognised you as Man City fans? Because that's what I had.
No.
I had a big old group of them, about 30 or 40 of them, because I was stood there in the rain as we went 5-1 down and 40 people in me face like that. It was horrible.
I was luckily like bang in the middle next to the stairs, so I wasn't too close to them. And when I obviously walked in the ground and stuff, I had my hood up and everything. It was raining, so I had a good excuse, but I kind of went under the radar. But yeah, there was a lot of taunting and stuff like that, as you would expect. More so after, obviously, Liverpool's goal was disallowed. So I'd have loved 5 minutes to give it back, but we didn't even have that.
Yeah. How you feeling, Steve? Down in the dumps or feeling, but like say fair about it all?
Yeah, it's what it is, isn't it? You got to crack on. We're just not very good football away from home at the moment, are we? It's as simple as that. Like the reality is that we're a team that at this moment in time is very much in a top 4 race, not a title race. And I don't know if it's acceptance, the stages of grief or whatever it is of Liverpool of trying to retain their Premier League title. Disappointed is the main one. Like I say, it's hard to be too angry about it, I suppose, because when you and the instance in the game which I'm very angry about and disappointed about, but like most of it, we got beat by a better team. Chris put it on the show yesterday. The better team won that game, and sometimes you got to just hold your hand up. But yeah, it's sad that we're just starting the November international break, and I know the table says otherwise in terms of the gap and the points and stuff, but like Liverpool aren't good enough to win the Premier League this year. And having gone through last season and then the summer in terms of obviously the signings we make and the excitement around it, and how buzzing we were when Vert signs and Isak signs, etc. To be sat here on November 10th saying, well, that's that. And now depending who you hate slightly less between Man City and Arsenal, trying to hope that the other one wins the title. I didn't think we'd be here by now, but the win against Villa, Arsenal, maybe Arsenal dropping points on Saturday night, maybe give that glimmer of hope, and then that kind of got extinguished yesterday. So acceptance, maybe, like really, but it's just very disappointing, and I wasn't expecting this. Last year I wasn't expecting us to win title challenges. That was the good surprise of football, and this year maybe more for me for getting my hopes up, but yeah, just disappointed that we're in November now. I'm looking at Villa, Tottenham, Sunderland, and like thinking top 4, Man United rather than thinking Arsenal, City. That's quite the come down in a couple of months.
The other thing for me is, I thought Arsenal had run away with it and would run away with it anyway. But for the first time in about 7 weeks, I saw Arsenal struggle, and
but they played someone good.
No, they did, yeah. But like even then, like in the build-up, I was still going, oh yeah, Sunderland have started great, but Arsenal just don't concede chances, never mind goals. So like, and when Sunderland gets one, you think, okay, well that's all they're getting. So it was that bit of hope of like, Liverpool, you can somehow claw yourself back into a title race. Like you can, because you've still got to go the Emirates, and it's really tough to win there, but that's 3 points and you can go 5 points behind them. That means that there'd be a game swing in it. Like for me, it was just a moment of, it's the first time I've seen us be able to capitalise on anything to try and get back in it and make something out of this season. And Liverpool got battered by the team who also probably thought the same as us going into the game. Like they were the only other ones who thought, yeah, guys, we can apply pressure and we can get at Arsenal and be in a title race, and they just showed their experience and everything more than we did.
It just shows you how mad it is, Chris, because it's crazy that we've gone through that like an awful run of form. Felt like we've managed to turn a corner, and and it just the level of performance was just so refreshing in the Villa game and the Real Madrid game, and to get to a situation where, because of the Arsenal result, you felt like a win at the Etihad was putting us right back into the title picture. But a defeat, I think every one of us would sit here and go, there's just no way Liverpool are winning the league, and that's the reality of how big that was.
The game. I said I don't think Liverpool can overturn 2 sides if Manchester City win it, because I will always think if you can get within maybe 4, 5, 6 points of Arsenal, you don't know how they're going to react to the pressure situation. But if you're 4 points behind City, I know how they react to that. Yeah. I've seen it too many times to think that Liverpool will be able to. So waiting for 2 teams to drop points, that's out of our hands completely.
7 teams to drop points.
That's it. But there's 2 for me that can realistically win it. So Liverpool are out of the title race. That is the biggest thing that I've learned this weekend. I've got to just hope that the result against Manchester City is not an indication of of us turning the corner. And it means, I mean that Liverpool have turned the corner, I believe, still. You can get beat by Manchester City at any point. Yeah. I think what we've seen over the last 7 or 8 days is Liverpool get better and stop with the really stupid nonsense. But that'll only be seen in the fullness of time. That doesn't help us going into an international break where we don't get to play football.
And nothing's proven or provable right now, because you're right. We now go into like the Schrodinger's football season thing here, where what Liverpool are going to emerge out the end of this. Is it a Liverpool that takes all the stuff that they did really well and just starts doing more of that? Or is it a stuttering Liverpool? Or is it a Liverpool that's totally and utterly awful? Because the way our form is going, we are heading closer to mid-table than we are heading towards top 4. So if they carry on like this, the idea that we're in a top 4 race is actually going to become a stretch very quick. And I know that seems unfathomable, but tell that to Chelsea and Man United, who did exactly the same sorts of things. And more Chelsea, because Chelsea were winning the European Cup, and then all of a sudden they were 2 seasons bang mid-table and struggling to play, whereas Man United have been crap for a decade now. But that's the reality of where we're at, really, and that adds to the real sense of frustration, because it didn't have to be this way. But I mean, we'll talk about some of the individual instances and how we think we got to the situation. But that for me just adds to it. I'm just a bit. I just can't be arsed with the misery around it, if I'm being honest. Because I can cope with Liverpool losing to Man City at the Etihad. We've done it loads. And it is eased by the fact that I have seen us play some decent football this week or the last 7 days, which helps. But that feeling of like we're not in that, we're not at that standard is a bitter pill to swallow.
No, it is, and it's the away stuff, really, isn't it? Like good teams. A lot of good teams can win at home. Like those 2 performances were both at Anfield. Like Liverpool have lost 5 Premier League away games, lost 6 of 7 away in all competitions. Like that is not an elite team. Like the best teams go on the road and win.
It's a weak team.
It shows to me like we're on course. Like we're 60 odd points at this moment in time, and they're all going to come from Anfield. Which, you know, Man United aside, actually Liverpool's Anfield form was pretty good in terms of results, not always in terms of performances. But other than Frankfurt, which now looks like the exception to the rule, Liverpool have really, really struggled away from home, and that's what average to better than average teams sometimes do. You know, they lose when they go away, and that's the worry for me, is that can they change that? Because the fixture list in theory eases up. Now Liverpool have had some difficult games, I understand that, and at some point they're going to go on a little run down here where they're playing a lot of those teams at the bottom of the table, but I've got no confidence that Liverpool can go to Fulham in a few weeks' time and win, or go to, wherever, go to Leeds and win. They should be able to do that, of course they should.
Where I feel slightly differently to you, Steers, I can only see that Liverpool will get better.
No, they can.
Because there's loads of improvement for us, and we're just not a well-gelled side, and it doesn't look like we're a well-functioning side at the moment. So I get people looking and going, fucking hell, we're shit and all that type of stuff, but I'm like, yeah, but I think we can only get better. There are some sides in and around us that I think are at their level.
You say that, maybe like it's the Mick McCart thing. It can't get worse, can? Then he goes, it can. It's like, I would agree with you. Even like if it was the same group of players every week in the same system, he still doesn't know his best 11.
Well, I think he does. I think the last 3 being the same side suggests that he knows his best 11, and he knows he's got a settled system there, and he's won 2 of 3 with that system.
The problem with it is, and this is what happens when he's gone back to a form of basics, not quite. It's an oversimplification to say he's gone back to like last season's. It's not exactly the same, but for ostensibly it's similar. He's got a lot more of the tried and tested in there. But in doing that, has he also steadied the ship, but then also almost highlighted the reason why we've had to have a big refresh as well? Because then when you get to game 3 of that, are the question marks about, well, could Kirkes have just come in for that game? And the answer is, well, none of us would have necessarily been clamouring for that, but this is the reality of, I'm not even saying Robertson was the problem, I just mean this idea of having fresher legs and more pace and that kind of stuff. He's brought lads in to do this, and then, yeah, as he maybe fallen foul of playing the settled team, we'd have all been if you mix the team up and you lose, we'd have all been saying, why has he not played the settled team? But again, that's the
it was damned if you do, damned if you didn't.
What I would say is that I think we found a formula to an extent that works at home. I learned nothing yesterday that makes me think Liverpool away from home were any better. They were not bullied the wrong way, but outmatched physically again for like the 5th time really. Again, I go back, ignore Frankfurt. Liverpool outdone physically away from home, which has happened all season. I felt Liverpool were. We had an extra day off the Manchester City, and they look well fitted than us and way sharper than us, and that's a concern. So I agree. I think that team. I think that team at home, I'm absolutely fine with. I have a big worry about this team when they go away, and they're, you know.
But could you not be like, just to play devil's advocate here? You've seen that team away once.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've seen them at home twice.
No, but I've seen every.
And it was against Manchester City, who were clearly brilliant yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, might you be jumping the gun there on that team can't play away from home?
I'm not saying they can't, but I've seen nothing that says they can. That's kind of my point. I know nothing about Liverpool away, and City did the hybrid of, yes, City played, but City also were direct a little bit and more physical, and Madrid and Villa didn't do that. Liverpool struggles, I think, away from home. A lot of been against teams who've outmatched us physically, as well as, you know, intense pressure, keep going, and eventually you think Liverpool will buckle. Villa didn't really do that, and Real Madrid definitely didn't do that. So I still think there are more questions. Listen, I think they're all brilliant players, and I think he's a brilliant manager. And if I had to guess, I would be on your side. I think that it can get better, and I would like to think it can, because Liverpool tend to do well like December, January's. But I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, everything's going to be hunky-dory fine, because I just don't know in my heart of hearts if I believe that. I really hope it can be, because they're too good, but
do you know
I'm
what
not
it felt
convinced.
like? Two things, because I watched most of the Spurs-Man United game at the weekend, and I watched Tottenham and was like, Tottenham are going to absolutely do these here, and they didn't. And because it just felt like a team that were reaching for a gear that wasn't there. And ultimately because they played midweek football and Man United hadn't. So, you know, those teams, we'll talk about that game in a bit more depth on the Bias pod after this one, of course, on Plus. But then when I was watching back Doku's goal, the goal that totally makes it academic in that. And it's a brilliant goal, but so much about it, and even actually probably the deflected goal as well, of Liverpool getting out and closing things and just being half a step away from where you needed to be. It reminded me of that, of a team that looked like they played in midweek, but it reminded me a bit of the end of Fabinho that season, where there were a few players who were up for it and they've got the legs to be able to deliver it. But if there's a threshold where if one or two aren't, it absolutely collapses the house of cards and what you do. And I'm not saying it was equally that, but I just don't think we were utterly, to a man, I don't think we were dreadful, something we were discussing last night, Chris. But we just looked a bit, all the zip and energy and aggression that have been in the 2 games previous. Yep. I think they wanted to have it. But for whatever reason, and there were times when we pressed them and it worked really well, and we caused them to shit themselves and they were kicking balls out. I was like, that's great. But it never followed. Another wave never followed. It was a bit like we had a little flurry of punches and then went and stepped off for a second. We never managed to put our foot on City's throat, and so it looked just like
I think for me, that was as bang average a performance from Liverpool as I've seen.
First half was dreadful.
No, not dreadful. Bang average is what I said, because that's what I think it was. I don't think we had 11 players out there who were all playing shit. I just don't. I've seen really bad performances from players before. Like, Kanate, for me, was probably the worst of the bunch, because he has the mistake that leads up to the penalty. He has the mistake for the Haaland goal. He doesn't close down particularly well. But then equally, I look at it and go, well, all right, did Liverpool have the 2 best opportunities of the whole game outside of the penalty? Yeah, they did. They had the 2 best opportunities, because Gakpo hits one over the bar from inside the 6-yard box completely uncontested. Mo Salah chips one wide of the goalpost. Mm-hmm. They were by far and away the best opportunities created in the game. Yeah. Like, and no one can tell me otherwise. Yeah. Like, that was that. So, like, all right, we weren't good And I freely admit that. I just think it was an overreaction to how bad Liverpool have been as well.
Yeah, and again, I think that comes from the context around the game. It's a hard thing to unpick, and it's something I said a few weeks ago, Chloe, is that we carry with us the upset and the misery and the stress, and actually that where now social media is unbearable because every neutral account has got Liverpool to take the piss out of for the weeks to follow. All the rival fans are all harping on about it and all that kind of stuff. And it's not right because what Chris says there is actually factually correct and all that. But this is the problem with being a fan, is that you don't always look at it clear cut and factual. You've got to live it, and you've got to live in it afterwards as well, and all the sort of aftermath, which adds more pressure than I think probably should, but it does.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I thought the first half was really quite poor. I won't lie. I did think Liverpool would offer. I thought to a man, Manchester City were miles better. We were getting absolutely nowhere near them.
I agree with that, by the way. I completely agree with City being miles better than us.
And not just, but I actually don't think City had to play that well to beat us. I don't think they had to, play outstandingly. There's been games where it's been really tense, and you've gone, what an advert for the Premier League, because we've made City play at a level and they've made us play at a level. City didn't have to play unbelievably to win that game of football. I think Liverpool were unlucky with, there's 2 deflected goals and a goal that's disallowed, which for me still cannot understand what the hell has gone on there.
That changes the entire flipping game as well.
I agree that is extremely unlucky. However, it's also simple things of, we were screaming at Mo Salah. Bear in mind, the first half is right in front of us, and it feels different in the ground because you all get replays. I didn't know that it had bounced off Canate after Haaland hit it, which makes it even more unlucky. But then Canate could be doing better anyway.
I think Canate hit it first.
Did he?
He hit it into Haaland's head,
and then
it bounces off Haaland's head and goes in.
It's big granite head, yeah.
It's
how stupid is that? It comes off his shoulder into Haaland's head and perfectly into the top corner.
So from our point of view, we just thought Canate got stuck under the ball, and Haaland's,
which he did as well, by the way.
He did, but Haaland's just got a free header at that. In the ground, they're little moments that you don't quite see, which might make it feel worse. Mm-hmm. But for example, the corner is taken right in front of our away end. Mo Salah is stood there, and we're all screaming at him to go and watch the short corner. You can see they're about to do it. They're literally talking to each other, saying, do it quick. And he just strolls out as if there's
when they take that second corner, there's lads in our box not looking at the ball.
Exactly.
That's bad.
That to me, that's what was annoying to me. It was the fact that
you just let them play the ball on the edge of the penalty area,
and no one closes him down, and then we stick a leg out at it, which that's not good. But what can we do? But for me, it's the simple things that Liverpool would offer. Right. The passes to Phil Foden and Nico Gonzalez had far too much space in the middle of the park. But the little passes where we do it quite a lot, and people get annoyed because it's quite slow football. But it's little 2-yard passes, and we'll move and we'll find the space. City were doing that, but we were half a yard away from where we needed to be able to put them under pressure. So it was just far too easy for them to bounce the ball around.
Well, again, the decision on paper, me, Chris and Steve were discussing it pre-match. We all said, I think we've got a better midfield on the pitch here than they have, and it's very rare that you say that.
Didn't look at that.
Did not pan out that way at all, because ultimately, Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden, not only did they drop deep and get into defensive areas when they needed to, it wasn't like they were throwing tackles in, but actually to avoid Liverpool's press, they just went and helped out, so they always had a man to pass to. Sometimes it needed a little chip over the top to get them, but then they'd pass it and then they'd sprint, and there's one little breakaway that breaks down. But Phil Foden just pops it off, and then he's away and he's racing, and Haaland has got a guy up there with him because he's busting a gut to get involved. And again, Bernardo Silva just played wherever he wanted. There was a total fluidity, but it was a conscious fluidity. Liverpool, I think, tried to have that, but it just looked really disjointed as a result. And so what happened? I don't think Nico Gonzalez is a great number 6, but he plays in the number 6. And what you found is, I think Gravenberch was trying to be the complete midfielder when actually we might have benefited from him just sitting in there and actually just being a bit more of a rock-like lighthouse Fabinho style pivot. Those games against Man City have historically been won by having the best number 6. You know, it was Fernandinho was kept them on top for so long. Fabinho is a Man City killer and does, you know, for that spell, and then Roger comes in and supersedes that. And I just, you know, we could have really done with a super disciplined Gravenberch midfield and actually supported by McAllister, but it goes back to it. We looked like a team that had played a really hard game in midweek, and actually by comparison they didn't. And the sad fact is, as Steve says, they played more recently than us. Now they did make 3 changes, but one of them was to a centre half, but whatever. But this is the really frustrating difference for me, is that, and it shows where we're at. We are very much this is like a top 4 side, is how we've played this, because people forget, because we've been spoiled to death of it's mad how well we used to do, that we stopped talking about the European hangover thing, because truly elite teams can be brilliant 2 games a week, and right now we're not at that standard, and Man City are, and that's doubly annoying, because you look at them and go, oh, well, we were better than them last season. But we've taken a step back for a variety of reasons that are all very well documented. We're going through things that Man City team is not and has not had to go through this season. But there were clear levels. Yeah.
I think the manager did his players a favour post game, because he said, you know, the tactics in the first half. You know, someone asked about, like, you know, none of your midfielders want to tackle. I think it was one of the stats in your defenders. No one want to challenge.
Don't think they had a pass either.
Yeah, it was the manager's like, yeah, you know, Pep's tactics, they were really narrow, they made it really difficult for us, and maybe that's true to an extent, and I get it, but like, I think Chris mentioned before Liverpool being okay in the first half. With the ball, they were okay, second half better. I thought without the ball in the first half, we were dreadful. Yeah. And their first goal comes from, we've got them penned into their own corner flag, and 15 seconds later, they've played 20 passes, no one's near them, and we've got 2 lads in the left back position, neither of them try and close the cross down. And yet there's a bit of good fortune, but I tell you what, if you let Nunes, he's fine, whatever, it's a good ball. If you let them feed the ball into Erling Haaland that easily, he's probably going to score.
Nunes is not a right back, which is fine to say if you're challenging him as a right back, but if you're leaving him uncontested on the right wing to kick a ball, he's going to do that really well.
Liverpool's success against Erling Haaland has been relatively okay. Like, Liverpool have done okay against Haaland, but it's never been by stopping Haaland. It's been by stopping the ball getting to Haaland. That's always been the key to him. You know, they'd be hurrying Kevin De Bruyne for years, someone would be booting him or getting in and around him. Like, they get out from their own corner flag with Nico Raleigh, he does quite well. They play through us, and then Matthias Nunes has got the freedom of the
problem is there, for me anyway, that Robertson and Van Dijk had switched. That was the problem. We got caught with Van Dijk in at left back, if you roll it back 30 seconds before the highlight of that goal. And then they're swapping, and as they're swapping, Andy Robertson's saying to Wirtz, get out there, Wirtz doesn't go, and Robertson's too late to go. And that's when it's done there.
Yeah, you killed.
And that's a decision taken by our 2 senior guys at the back as well, to pick that moment to go and switch. But they're the fine margins when you're playing against the
even the second goal, mate. Like, and I get, like, no one reacts to the short corner. You've got lads not looking at the ball. Gonzalez, he's got how long does he have to tee that strike? Yeah. You saw that shot coming 3 seconds before, and in the end,
before it even went to him, you knew what was going to happen.
The problem is there's got to be context added there, because we're 1-0 down and we get a goal disallowed. So it's great to lump all the shit all at once and say, well, we're all shit, but we got fucked over big time.
We are going to
completely change that half, probably the game.
I agree, but I'm talking about the ball.
2 seconds, but I think you are, while you're right, and look, we should get out to him quicker. It is also a shit shot.
Yeah, but it's a fucking shit attempt at blocking it as well. Like, I hate centre halves, and stop doing it of just dangling these little farty legs out. Either block it properly or let the goalie save it. Liverpool centre halves, we've been doing this for so long. Matip was dreadful at it, and Van Dijk and Matip, Kanate, I think all good centre halves, probably different levels, of course. But we've got this. Go and fucking block it. Run a sprint, and like, Lord, did you see the block that Sunderland centre half made against Arsenal? Yeah, he fucking runs out and just gets in the way of the ball. It's not rocket science to tell your defenders to just stand in the way of the ball. Yeah. And then when you flick this little farty leg out, it's probably going to be deflected.
Listen,
I'm with you on the goal. We got the ref. It's a disgrace, and we will talk about it. But you earn your luck sometimes.
Right. That is right with that. But at the same, it's perfectly acceptable to say the likelihood of that going in is basically zero, because it's a nothing terribly hit shot, the tip dead centre, and it comes off in one of like again the percentage chances of that hitting Van Dijk's leg at exactly that angle to completely wrong foot the goalkeeper and send the other way.
I don't think the keeper does well there, by the way. Either.
Well, he's totally flat foot. You know, he's caught out for it. I'm not putting that on the goalie.
It's just so
it's a 3 in
passive.
100 chance, 0.003 chance of it going in.
You know, makes it a 9 in 100 chance.
Have you got the post shot actually?
Post shot is 0.09.
Yeah, but you know, if someone
Mentally bad.
yeah, but if someone goes and blocks it, it's a 0 in 100. I can't, like, just go and stop the ball.
No, but what I'm saying is
agree,
that
but
you
can't.
say that's
Miles
logical,
away.
but actually based on the probabilities of that going in from there, it's just as unlikely that someone charges down even more. It hits a stud, it's the crossbar and goes in. That's how desperately unlikely it is that shot goes in. Is what
look, I get Virgil sticks it like out and it's crap. My problem is the fact that no one is on the edge of the box. No one's reading the my issue isn't the percentages of what happens. My issue is I am screaming in that away and that Mo Salah, these lads who are literally stood on the edge of our box to be aware of this short corner that you know is instantly going to happen, and the ball passes, and by the time that Mo Salah can be asked actually getting out in time, the ball is to Nico Gonzalez and it's coming at his feet, and you know he's going to hit it. Yeah. But there is not one single person from in that box because none of them was ready. Like a midfielder, like an attacker, whoever it is, whoever was the closest to the edge of that box, no one even can be asked to go and sprint and try and
That's
get. To try and basically say to him, go on then lad, shoot, but I'm going to be on you by the time you've shot.
You've got Van Dijk,
all go round.
You've got Van Dijk and Kanate. It's their job to stay if everybody else pushes up.
Yeah.
Nobody pushes up. So someone's got to take control of the fucking situation and go out to the ball.
Is it Bradley goes?
Bradley and McAllister. I think McAllister's staying in. I don't know why McAllister's stayed in the box.
No.
That he's the one player that I've looked at watching that back going, not sure what you're doing here. Think he probably, if you'd ask the manager, think he's probably the one to go. To be honest. But if no one goes, why not? Why isn't our captain at the back going, get the fuck out? All of you, because you push up. It's a short corner. You push up together. They're all offside, the people with the ball before it comes across. Get out as fast as you possibly can.
Because they're not paying attention.
They weren't paying attention, and that's the problem. The little, these fine margins that Slot keeps talking about keeps doing me head in. Because I get where he's coming from with the deflections and the disallowed VAR goal that we'll get on. But the fine margins to me is, why is nobody alert to the short corner happening?
And
then why is nobody alert and getting out?
Do you know why? Because we've been terrible at defending corners, and we're now on like lockdown procedures of how we defend these overloaded corners. People getting things getting lobbed into the box, and so they're all so like, where have I got to be? What have I got to do to defend this? It's that again. This is Man City are brilliant because Man City go, these aren't paying attention. Let's just quickly crack on with something while it's there, and that again goes back to levels. And additionally, when it boils down to it, it's one of them things. It's Conor Bradley and Ekitike, I think, are the two most likely people who can get on the end of that, and they're both just half a yard too sluggish to react into it.
The whole game, both those first two goals. I understand, by the way. I think a lot of the defeats this season, not a lot, maybe harsh, but like there's been a lot where I think you can point to the manager and go, you know what, you got that wrong, you got this wrong. I think that first half, I think he's took a bullet for his players there. I think secretly in this change room, I'd like to hope he's bollocked them and they bollocked each other, because it was so passive. And I see your point on that, you know, like the chances of it happening, but you know, it makes the chances better because they're Man City and they've got great players. You can't give can't give good players time and space.
You can't allow clear on this. And I've said this, the thing that we were lacking was bite in that entire game. At no point did we play that like we were like it mattered.
Yeah.
Do you look knackered?
We weren't playing like it was the biggest game of the week. We played it a bit like this will all work out if we knock the ball around, and we never got the ball long enough to knock it around.
Do you look tired?
Give it exactly. No,
which
but
is mad.
And it's bad because I thought Gary Neville pointed that in commentary, and I wasn't prepared to say that at the time, but I guess it was I'm watching some of it back. It feels like that season when we realised this midfield's fucked and we need to rebuild. And that's not what I'm saying necessarily about that. What I just mean is that you can be up for it and you can be match fit, but the small percentages you lose through that fatigue, it's mental sharpness that goes, and the amount of times that we just weren't quite on it for a number of reasons, and they just looked quick and more. And look, they had a lot of things geeing them up in that game as well, which we don't. It's City at home. It's a tough place to go. But yeah, it just felt a bit like, And maybe it's because of the players we've got on the pitch. You know, there's no Luis Diaz there, and there's no James Milner there, and there's no Jordan Henderson's in there. And maybe sometimes you do need some of those lads. Virgil van Dijk tried it, by the way. I thought Virgil actually skippered really well because he went full-blooded in for every tackle that he was in. He went for every header. He was clearly playing angry, but that's not him. That's not how he does things. He needs generals all over the pitch, and unfortunately, McAllister looked like it was great that he's turned the corner. I do think we're going to get a good season out of him finally, but he was goose. Gravenberch was all over the place. Szoboszlai was absent in the first half completely.
Salah
we just looked the yard off.
The other thing for me is you go into the Etihad, it's Pep Guardiola's 100th game in management. We already know.
I wish it was 100.
Sorry. We already know the atmosphere and what it's going to be like. And every time Liverpool got on the ball and started passing it around, Oduwayan was like, brilliant, keep this, please. But the problem was we had no out ball and we kept turning it over. But my biggest problem, which started all off, is Konate's absolute crap decision-making in not just taking out Doku whilst he also clears the ball, which then leads to the penalty because their fans are then up. You know, there's 100 reasons why in that game they can get up for it. And Liverpool were trying...
This is in the build to the penalty?
Yeah.
Take him out.
Like,
she means go through him.
Like,
he just passes it to Doku.
Well, you know what he should have done?
Like,
not got involved.
He could just put out corner, anything like that.
Conor Bradley had that situation completely under control.
Conor Bradley was leaving it for him, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Or he was shepherding it out. One of the two, yeah.
He was.
What Konate just do is kick it hard.
Konate fucks it. That's what Chloe's saying, and he does.
It's interesting because Chloe, you mentioned before what they know out ball. This is where I think you have to give credit to City. They just let Konate have it, and they were absolutely fine. Watch where Haaland stands. Every time we're building up from the back, he just goes and stands on Virgil and he goes, "You're not having it. We're going to give it to him," and then we don't think he's good enough to be able to play through us. And he's not. Konate's good. Like, this isn't knocking him, but he's not great on that. That's his worst part of his game. So tactically already, that's a big win for them. So then if you're getting if you're getting done tactically, which can happen, you do need to show a little bit of bollocks. And at times, I thought Liverpool lacked it. There's a big caveat about the goal, and I do think, you know, if you get to half time 1-1, these are things that you can change.
Well, look, let's do that, Chris, because
can Chloe finish her point from before? Because I was interested in what she was going to say.
Yeah, my point was, I felt like Liverpool had moments where we could take this thing out of the atmosphere and play it around, but once again, we don't really have an out ball. We can put the ball up to Ekitike, but you know, he was really struggling. There was nothing sticking to him, and even then there's no one around him. But the other thing for me is that decision making, the not clearing it, not putting it out, you know, that all that does is create more of an atmosphere for the people around him. Haaland misses, a great save by Mamardashvili, and then, you know, it kind of switches round. Then we're in the game as a crowd and we feel up for it. There's your big moment. Liverpool, you aren't playing great. Use that moment, that's worked for you. And I just felt like Liverpool could not find their level. They physically, like you said there, I just thought they were late to everything. They weren't winning the duels. And I remember for the corner, I went, is this our first corner? It's like late on in the game. But that was where you felt like you could cause them damage. And yeah, on the VAR, I mean, we're about to get to it now. It's just absolutely mental.
Before that, worth mentioning the penalty. Like, I know this. I mean, this is forever the problem with VAR, and it's reffing things like it's one of them fucking blurts on Twitter who take a still image and think that's
what they gave him.
The be able to genuinely like
that's what they gave us.
But like, so like,
still images.
There's going to be people watching, listening, who go, the goalkeeper made contact with Doku, so therefore it is a penalty. But I would contend that it's just not, man. It's like fucking hell.
I think you're right. Did Dan Burn make contact with Ouattara for the first one that got disallowed? They didn't get given.
For the first one, yes. For the second one, no.
Okay, so the first one didn't get given.
Yeah, no.
But he made contact with him, and the VAR admitted that it was minimal contact. Mm-hmm. So it can be. Yeah, it cannot be a penalty.
Exactly, and it goes back to this.
Just wanted to check. The defence rests, Your Honour.
It's consistent in its inconsistency. Is that And that therein lies the problem, is that, and you end up with a bit of whataboutery, but if they're bringing in a system for uniformity to try and get more decisions wrong, you should be able to point at other decisions and go, we've been here before, and they know how to deal with it. And actually, the disallowed goal is another one of those as well, which we'll come on to. But I thought the penalty decision was fucking ridiculous. It looked to me like one of them, if you ever play football, you look at that and go, yeah, I can see that he's made contact, but there's no way he's done enough to make this to be a penalty. Let it go.
You've just got to decide what contact is. Like, what is contact? Because I watched McAllister last week get DDT'd in the penalty area, and there was nothing given.
You got chokeslammed, Chris.
He got DDT'd and he got chokeslammed in the same game within about 15 minutes. Yeah. No penalties, no free kicks, no nothing. It's like, but a touch on the foot, penalty.
Yeah. I just think for Michael Oliver to say that is a clear and obvious error, that Chris Kavanagh has made a bad decision by not giving that penalty is stupid. Yeah. Like, it's what I think it's subjective, and I think if the referee gives the penalty on the field, then you go, you know what, the stays. That isn't an idea for me where you go, he's made a shocker decision, which is what VAR is meant to be. Yeah. He's made a stinker. He's made a massive error. That's a penalty, because the Premier League, by all accounts, they're letting things go a bit more, dear. You know, teams are getting away with a few more of those things. No, not us. That isn't a penalty. I think it's not, because I think Doku takes an extra step before he just kind of lets himself go. So I don't think it's a pen. Now, granted, Mamardashvili does really well to save it, and you're right. You know, that should give Liverpool a boost. But
I mean, it does. It does. We're all right after that. Yeah, you know, we have a decent little spell in the game that follows.
What I can't get, and I hate talking about refs and stuff, it's boring, is that the same decisions in 2 different games or 3 different games can be either way, and you've got no idea. So literally the game before on the same TV channel that I was watching, a lad goes down in the box having been fouled and gets booked for diving, and then the same lad goes down in the box, probably didn't get touched, and gets given a penalty, and the lad gets sent off. And then Doku goes down, and then the ref doesn't give it, then this ref does give it, and then I see an offside goal given against us now, where I saw Alisson in the Champions League, the lad couldn't see the ball. No, that's a goal. I saw Manchester City last year with Bernardo Silva. That's a goal. Well, they should all be the same. Either they're all pens in the or the offsides.
The Bernardo Silva Wolves one last season is it. He's literally...
It's the same fucking ref.
Is it really?
It's Kavanagh.
Fucking hell. He's fighting with the goalkeeper.
And guess what? On that decision against Wolves, he goes over to the screen and makes the decision at the screen himself, Paul.
It's mental. Like, because I get it, because we were talking about it in the commentary, and I think there's a percentage of people who, again, just look at it and go, what am I doing? Yeah, you know, like autopilot. Is anyone in an offside position? Andy Robertson in an offside position, offside, ruled out. But the thinking behind it is where, again, what's the point of having that backstop in place if they're not going to then take a second just to make sure it's right? And again, goes back to the Wolves one. Bernardo Silva is all over Jose Sarr, all over him. He steps away from him, and the goalkeeper's still basically his positioning's off, his body weight is off because of it. He's in the line, and he's in the line of sight as well, I think, isn't he? And it takes them fucking ages before they finally come to the decision, etc., etc. This one is like, all it took was the angle that's behind Van Dijk, and you're like, at no point does this influence the goalkeeper. Donnarumma watches the ball hit Van Dijk's head, watches the whole way, commits to the dive. His dive isn't impeded, doesn't change anything about his movement. It's not like Mamardashvili with the deflected goal. He moves because the ball, there's nothing that impedes the goalkeeper from doing that whatsoever. It's fucking mental that they've not been able to look at that and go, you know what, in the spirit of football, that's a goal.
Can I tell you what my biggest problem with is that it got shucked off, but no, right, it takes 13 or 14 seconds for the linesman to put the flag up, so that is a huge
in
gap.
The ground. I didn't even know the liner had done that.
What happened? So apparently the decision on the field was offside, so it has to be a clear and obvious error to overturn that, because that was the decision that was made 14 seconds after the ball had gone into the back of the net. So that decision was made rather late, is what I'm saying. Normally, if a player's offside, you let the play go on, the ball goes into the back of the net, you raise flag straight away to say, I think I saw something, so we're going to check that. Fine, no problem. Not 14 seconds after the goal goes in. Okay, part one of the problem. Part two, because you've now said it has to be a clear and obvious error to overturn it. How can the linesman put context on whether he's in the way?
Yeah.
He can tell the referee he was standing in an offside position. No problem with that. Absolutely no issue with the linesman saying that. But that person on that side of the pitch cannot tell, because of his perspective, if he is in the way. So you've now caught yourself in like a catch-22 situation where, because it was called on field as offside, it now has to be clear and obvious. But the fella who's made the decision can't tell you that he was in the way. Yeah. He can only tell you that he was stood in an offside position. Yeah. So why does it need to be in that instance clear and obvious to overturn it?
You know, it is right.
Because then you've made it subjective, and the person who called it can't tell you.
It's because Michael Oliver's a fucking dickhead, Chris. That's what it is. Like, it takes 5 seconds to get this right. And again, I some people believe that he's like whatever, like anti-Liverpool. I'm not sure. I think he's just shit against us. Maybe he is. I don't know. Whatever he is, but like. He's the same referee who, like, when McAllister gets webbed by Doku, no VAR decision. That isn't a clear and obvious error. That a lad has just been kicked in the middle of the chest. No. There's one camera angle that all you need to look at is Virgil van Dijk heading it and Donnarumma seeing it the entire way, and Andy Robertson is not interfering. He is offside position, but there's a list of things that make a player offside, and
it's not. And
he doesn't tick any of those, and that is a clear and obvious error. And as a qualified official, you should have that list in front of you and go, did he touch the ball? No. Did he block the goalie's vision? No. Did he stop the goalie diving for the ball? No. Did he do anything to block a defender? No. Goal given. And that is a clear and obvious. That linesman has made a clear and obvious error. He put his flag up thinking Andy Robertson was in Donnarumma's way.
No, he didn't. He put his flag up for offside.
For offside, yeah. For whatever, yeah.
That's the difference. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Those things don't make sense. They've caught themselves in a fucking little trap.
And it's fucking crap. And listen, I understand, and I've said this a million times. We were rubbish, but goals change games. I've seen Liverpool be 3-0 down in a Champions League final playing like fucking crap, and then all of a sudden we score a goal, and goals do change games. Now, I'm not saying like Liverpool could have lost 5-1 yesterday if that goal got given, but they also could have won 2-1.
That scoreline stayed.
We'll never know, but like you've got to earn the chance to get yourself back into a game, and Liverpool scored a legitimate goal that was not given, and we should, going into half time at 1-1, having played crap, we'd have all been sat there, you'd have been in the ground, you'd have been live on the watch and going, Jesus Christ, we've been shit there, but it's 1-1. Lads can come out and do better. At 2-0, it's game over.
Exactly. Look, at 3-0 down, we had some good moments when the game's dead and buried, and it's one of those things where Liverpool getting a goal back now, even the best of us would have gone, honestly, whatever, man. It'll make us feel a bit better that we've done it. But like to go 3-1, that wasn't very likely to trigger a 3-4, 4-3 style comeback. But you're dead right. At 1-0 in a football match before we're even halfway through it, absolutely that absolutely had the ability, because the sense of positivity, we were here talking about it going, Liverpool have been all right here. It's in like the recent minutes leading up to it. We've actually started to get into some decent areas of the pitch finally, stringing a couple of passes together. What we just need is a little moment that shows we can hurt them before the half, and that could set us up really well. And we don't just do that, we score. And you're dead right. Look, it's the butterfly effect. They could go on and score. They could still go on and score a second goal before the half. They could, but you would always have that thing of, fuck, Liverpool are dangerous from corners here, and that becomes a thing that changes the Man City mindset. The crowd, it flattens the crowd. It completely changes the way the game goes, and it's hard to sit here because, again, even part of me goes, yeah, but we were crap.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
But you're allowed to be crap, and you're allowed to score goals when you're crap.
And you're perfectly fine to be upset and actually point out when things go totally unfairly against you. And again, that first half, effectively 2 deflected goals against us and a referee team getting it wrong. Man City are really good and we're not great at the moment. We are not good enough to deal with that. No team is good enough to deal with those 3 things going, and actually 4 things. We were lucky to get away with the penalty because of the save. To have those things on top of actually trying to work your way into a football match against a really good team, that for me that's too much of an ask. I think it would have been a tough game anyway. So I think it is a fair caveat to say that Liverpool had things go against them that were out of their control, as well as being a bit crap.
Can I just labour the point that Chris Kavanagh was the one who went to the screen against Wolves, Manchester City, and decided that Bernardo Silva wasn't in the way and wasn't impeding the goal.
He's apparently a Droylsden fan.
Oh. Yeah, I'll believe that. Why didn't they do that though? Because my problem.
Because Michael Oliver's a tit.
The penalty. I don't know how many times he.
Do you reckon Michael Oliver's got had to burn an Isaac shirt over the
Probably. He looked at he went to the screen for the.
Because it felt a long time inside the ground that he was stood at that.
Because at that point, I always think when they're stood there for ages, the VAR is trying to convince the referee.
Yeah.
And that's what I always think. I think they're telling them over and over again, this is what I can see, this is what I can see. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? And eventually they go, oh, yeah, just leave me alone.
Yeah, because us in that ground were basically saying if it was a clear and obvious error, it wouldn't take you this many views, nor would it take you this long. It'd take you, one or two looks and go, yeah, no, fair play. So that was the first problem. But the second problem is, there was too many limbs. I didn't know that an offside had been given. I thought, because I saw...
It was a bit late.
Yeah, because I saw them celebrating and was like, wonderful. And then I saw the VAR come up on the board and was like, okay, so... like what's gone on here, because Virgil was miles behind everybody and they showed it on the replay and all of us looked up and was like, he's nowhere near Donnarumma. He's the only time that should be disallowed is if Virgil was the right hand side. No, Robbo's left hand side as he's looking outwards. If that ball comes from the other direction, then Robbo is absolutely in Donnarumma's eye line. However, he's nowhere near. He's to the side of him. He has to duck, otherwise he's offside because he's played the balls hit him. And if you watch it, I think Gallagher pointed this out, Donnarumma thinks that Virgil's going to bullet header it to his right. So he moves to his right and he's then got to somehow change his direction and go back. And look, Courtois is the bane of my existence, but even he wouldn't have saved that header. It's not savable. It was an unbelievable header. Yeah. So Donnarumma could be in the perfect spot. He could keep his body weight where it is. He's not saving that header. Yeah.
I go back to it, like I say, I think Liverpool weren't great. Yeah. You earn the right to get yourself back into a game when you're not playing well by scoring a well-worked drilled set piece. Yeah. That was it was a brilliant set piece. Liverpool cleared everyone to the back post. They left Virgil one-on-one with his marker and basically said, we think he's better than you in the air. The cross is fantastic. The header is as good as anything. It's an unbelievable goal. And to have it robbed off, but it is robbed. To have it robbed off, fucks you over because, listen, what it also does, it gets the crowd up, it sits you up. It does. That's what disallowed goals do as well. They hurt you, of course, but they get them pumped up. And I just think
it's half a goal the other way in that regard. As far as the crowd goes.
And I just think it's totally it's fucking crap. And I just think yes. We might have got to half time. You can regroup. They maybe feel a bit nervous because they, oh my God, how many times have we been there as Liverpool? We've absolutely battered them, but it's 1-1 or it's 0-0. This could change very quickly, and that's footy. It's like you said before, butterfly effect. We'll never know. I just think the subjective call they decided to get involved with because for some reason. And the one that isn't subjective, it isn't offside. I don't care what anyone says. There is nothing in the rule book that makes Andy Robertson offside other than the fact that he stood in what is deemed offside position. That you can do that and not be offside. That's the laws of football. They've got it. It's a complete wrong way round. Like, the first one should have been left. Okay, maybe not, but we'll go with the ref because we think he's right. The second one, that Lino's made the stinker. For some reason, he's put his flag up thinking Andy Robertson done something to get in the way. He hasn't.
I said all along, it's the very quick... the linesman should be putting his flag up because from his view, Andy Robertson, there's the line of the defence, there's Robbo and there's their goalkeeper. Robbo looks offside. Put your flag up, mate.
Why does it take 12 seconds? If someone in his ear saying, you know what, I'll get your flag up there.
12 seconds, it doesn't sound like a long time until you actually do something. Like, look, just touch Chris's bottle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm bored counting to 5 seconds on that, and it's like you go.
Mate, the celebrations are over. Van Dijk had done his celebration. He'd done his little chin tickle, and he was on the way back to the halfway line. And he sees it. It was like that. It's baffling.
The other thing is, I think City away. There's certain grounds. I put Newcastle in there. The Emirates is probably one. Not just do you have to play really, really well to come out with anything, you also have to have a little bit of luck on your side in those games. And look, Liverpool were poor. Absolutely, I agree with that. But that is a little bit of luck that has gone the other way that you kind of do need in big games. You need big decisions to go for you. And that is an absolutely humongous error. And like, I do expect the PGMOL to come out and say something. I expect that Howard Webb
Fed up with their
show.
apologies.
Yeah, but I expect something to happen.
Don't you? You just want consistent reffing.
Yeah, you do, but there's too many crap referees. And if Michael Oliver is the benchmark for English referees and his decisions, I don't understand.
And that's my overall thing on it, really. Again, just for the cheap seats, don't think Liverpool played very well in this game. I really don't think they did. But when you look at the things that go against you, and look, again, it's football, but you know, there's notion that it'll balance itself out. Maybe it will. I don't think it ever really does. So yeah, you're fighting against that. You know, those goals that they scored. The Doku goal's great. It's a really good goal. Doku was brilliant all game long. He was a real threat against us, and he had actual end product, which is the thing that he's been so sorely lacking for his entire time prior to this season, basically. So for that, I can hold my hands up and go, it's a great goal. But it's those other ones. It's when people go, Liverpool are porous and they're clean loads. Man. And I know we can be better for those things, but you still got to look at it and go, when they play through you, it's a moment of magic and all that. You can hold your hands up, but still look at that and just go, oh man. We're not at that level yet where we can deal with things also not going our way. But if we want to be better, we have to get better at it. We can't sit here and bleat, you know, and complain about these things over and over and over again. But
both things are true, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Both things exist in context. That Liverpool weren't good enough to manage it in hindsight, and I agree with the team he picked, but I think if you asked him again, he probably would freshen it up a little bit because we looked a bit I don't know if it was leggy or lethargic. He probably would freshen one or two things up a little bit.
Do you know what made that obvious? Federico Chiesa again.
When he looked way sharper.
Because everyone else, it was, you know, when we used to say, oh God, Dirk Kuyt will run all day for you. Love him so much. He's the Energizer Bunny, goes and goes and goes. And then we realised when Klopp eventually came in, it was like, actually what you need is, that should be the level of entry. Everyone should be like Dirk Kuyt, and then you add quality on top of it. Work rate stopped standing out in Liverpool teams because everyone worked to the same level. And that second half, look, the game's done, and there must be players thinking, what's the point of legging myself here? And that is a really dangerous, like, negative spiral of a mindset to get into. But when Curtis Jones comes on and he's playing forward passes, and when Federico Chiesa comes on and he's legging after everything, you do all of a sudden look at everyone else and go, lads, where's that?
I think there's I don't know if this is the time and place because it might be a different discussion, but I think especially away from home, and actually all season other than the last 2 home games, I think Liverpool do have a problem without the ball with Mo Salah at this moment in time. You can't go gung-ho press because he can't. And it's really hard to go low block because he can't get back quick enough.
Okay, well,
let's
pick that up in part 2 because I want to talk a bit more about, like, obviously the Nines are going to be out for the manager, the media's going to have a field day with us for a couple of weeks. I want to talk about how we find a bit of consistency, but I do think the Mo Salah conversation is worth picking up on. So yeah, we'll do that after we have a very short break. We've got a wonderful competition running right now for our Legend tier subscribers on redmenplus.com. There's going to be some details on that, and then stay tuned because we will be returning with more great Liverpool chat.
Hey everyone, it's November, and at the end of the month, one of our wonderful Redmen Plus Legend subscribers will be winning these. Yes, they had a pair of goalkeeper gloves, and they are signed by former Reds goalkeeper Bruce Grobbelaar. He won league titles, he won FA Cups, he even won the European Cup as well. And yet at the end of November, one of you lucky Redmen legends will get these goalkeeper gloves. So yeah, head on over to redmenplus.com, join us as a Legend subscriber, and if you do that, at the end of the month, you'll be in the draw, and this pair of wonderful goalkeeper gloves could be on their way to you.
Yes, if you need more Liverpool content in your life, which I can't understand why you might want that at the moment, but if you do, and you want a little
good sales pitch, Paul.
Hopefully you will read the humour in my tone and understand that that's what we're all here for. So yeah, if you need a bit of a,
I didn't like the fact that I'm wearing the same t-shirt and that I'd read as I am. I do
more
clothes.
Away with for the thousands of people listening on podcast.
But the thousands watching with the fourth. Yeah. But listen, I do own more clothes. Maybe that's just my Monday shirt.
That's just your favourite. Come on, admit it. It's a great t-shirt.
I do like free stuff as well, so maybe that's a little bit of that.
Yeah. Cool, thanks for that, Steve. Anyway, yes, Redmen, if you do need that digital cuddle, then we have got you covered. And if you join us a Legend tier subscriber, we give away boss sign stuff every month as well.
Keep an eye on the Christmas one, because around Christmas, 24 prizes, not just one a month. 24 prizes in December.
Right.
If enough people sign up and we can afford them.
Yeah. Right, let's talk then. Let's carry on the Mo Salah chat, because one thing that was, again, when you end up watching it back and you think about it, I thought Salah was all right. Actually, I don't think it was anywhere near his worst performance of the I'm sorry, but like, I've seen Mo Salah stink the gaff out time and time again this season. And whilst he was nowhere near as good on Sunday as he was in the 2 previous games, that was still better than the 5 or whatever games that have gone before it.
That might be because we actually were trying to give him the ball this time.
Yeah.
But every time he got on the ball, it broke down and they won the ball back. I mean, O'Reilly must have thought, who the hell is playing up against me, because this isn't Mo Salah. Like, that's a young kid there who was pocketed Mo Salah. He has one big chance and he misses it. For me, look, I get frustrated when he's not being in games, and then he does the no-look pass in the box, and it's like, it hits the first man, and you're always like, no, that's lazy work. I think yesterday we were looking for an outball, and Hugo Ekitike wasn't that, because the ball couldn't stick and no one was close enough to him. So the ball, because Kanate is allowed the ball, and we say, go on lads, you pass it, it's got to be either Conor Bradley, it's got to be Gravenberch going into the space down the line, or it's got to be Mo Salah. And I think time and time again we tried to pass it to Mo Salah, and we were basically saying, go on lads, I need you to win a one-on-one, I need you to beat someone individually and get us up the pitch. And I can't remember one instance where he actually beats and he dribbles past O'Reilly. And for me,
because he doesn't. That's
exactly.
why I can't remember it.
And therefore, I can't sit here and say he's had a good game of football, because I don't think he has. Anyway,
my bigger problem with him is, it goes back to the point we've been making of him for weeks. I think he got into areas in a forward sense and was functionally better than I've seen him be a number of times this season. But these are the games where Mo Salah normally digs deep, and you see him in right back, helping the full back out, bailing Trent out time and time again, and being an outballer and willing working and just getting really stuck in for it. And again, because we saw that we've seen that for the last 2 games, but this game is another one of those ones where you then can't help but beg the question: can he do it 3 times in 8 days anymore? Because if Mo Salah can't do it against Manchester City at the Etihad, when he always does it against Manchester City at the Etihad and at Anfield, then why? And that's maybe where we have to question his levels of fitness these days.
I think because they have employed the high press in the last 2 games, I think this was one game too far for high press for Mo, which I think is a really bad thing for us.
Yeah.
I said, a few weeks ago that Mo Salah is making us play with our hand tied behind our back, because our players want to press. But we can't press with 10 men. We just can't do it, not in that position, in the way that we're doing it. We're trying to find other ways for us to do it. We're dropping Vert in, we're pushing Szoboszlai higher up the pitch. That's worked the last couple of games. But Pep Guardiola knew what Liverpool wanted to do yesterday. That was the biggest problem for me in the whole game. I've said before, I don't think Liverpool played badly. I think we were bang average. I think Pep knew what Liverpool wanted to do and completely nullified everything that we wanted. Every little thing he had an answer to. And that's the first time that, he's gone up against Slot and he's completely owned Slot in the tactics side of the game. Last season, Slot wins both games, surprises him with the 2 of Jones and Szoboszlai pressing high. It's one of them where this time around Pep Guardiola gets everything right and Slot doesn't, and that part of that is Mo Salah as well.
Yeah.
And he's not able to track back for the 3rd time in 8 days or whatever. But these are the types of games where I think Liverpool need to have 11 pressers on the pitch if you want to win away from home against Manchester City. And maybe you get to a position where you're still in the game, you might be doing really well, and you throw Mo Salah on last 60. Look, one of the best games that Liverpool have ever had was Barcelona. Semi-final of the Champions League, a completely impossible task without Mo Salah, except it wasn't. Yeah. You can do things without your best players sometimes. It's happened through every football team throughout the course of history. You just have to be brave enough to commit to the team rather than one person.
But moreover, again, this is another performance that reminded me of the last season of Steven Gerrard, where we make sessions for him the season before. He works his way into the team in the sixth position, but then it moves on and he gets found out there the season after, and then we're going, should we try him in the 10? And should we try him in various other situations? And I think there's often a will there, but your body just does start letting you down. And against like I said before, Chiesa comes on and it doesn't really do a lot. But there's a moment where the ball goes up to him and he's running around and he tries to play the ball to Salah, and Salah's just flat-footed. He's not anticipating it at all. He's just not on his toes. He's not looking for it, and he should be, because that's what Mo Salah should be doing. Mo Salah should be looking for any sniff of anything to try and get the ball passed to him, and he's not. And whether that's because he's kind of given the game up, which is bad in and of itself, or we all have it. We all have that moment in five-a-side, which is a totally different level I'm appreciative of, where you do just go, I know I need to put a foot in there, but for whatever reason I don't.
It's tough because like it might take AFCON for us to figure this out. It might be like, if Liverpool all of a sudden look like a better team without when he's away at AFCON, maybe you can point at it, because listen, when you're the manager by all accounts was desperate for Mo to stay, we were all desperate for Mo to stay. So then you can't give a lad 400-500 grand a week and he's not going to put him on the bench. He is going to have to play. So you might have to work things around that a little bit. And what Liverpool did, and I agree with Chloe, too many times this season, we've had Mo Salah not defending and actually not getting the ball. He saw plenty of the ball. And I've seen Mo Salah for a decade almost. Whichever left back they've put over there for City, he's always rinsed all of them. Ake, Gvardiol, Laporte, Cancelo, whatever they've done at left back, they have not.
Certainly,
they have not found an answer. Zinchenko. Sometimes in the end, they binned him off because he was getting ran ragged. They left O'Reilly one-on-one with Mo Salah and were comfortable with it, and that is a concern, because that was a tactical decision they made. And that's Pep Guardiola, who I think one of the best tactical geniuses in the world. He was very, very, very comfortable leaving a young, relatively inexperienced left-back one-on-one with Mo Salah. In the past, they've tried...
Can I just add on to that? The worst part for me is he also allowed O'Reilly to go forwards.
Yeah.
And was then comfortable enough to leave him one-on-one and
therefore, so Pep's clearly identified, maybe he saw... Maybe Mo isn't Mo anymore, because in the past they've tried to go one-on-one. They've put a centre-half over there. They've got someone, they've always tried to double up. Sometimes they would leave out their best attacking left wingers to put like a more defensive guy over there so he can run back, Bernardo Silva or something, and double up. So Pep was quite comfortable leaving Nick O'Reilly on him, and he worked. He had him on toast. Salah had plenty of times to get past him, couldn't find a way through. And listen, this isn't blaming all of Liverpool's woes on Mo Salah. On another day, we might have an assist at the back post if Cody Gakpo doesn't miss a sitter. You know what I mean? So it's all relative. But I think in terms of it, I'm not sure what Slot wants us to be yet, which is a problem. I think if you asked them hand on heart, he'd want us to be a high press team still, because the day he walked in and he talked about that, the similarity between how I want to play and Jurgen wants to play is that we press high, we want to control the ball, we just take less risks on the ball perhaps than a Jurgen Klopp team, which we all agree with. That was fine, it worked, it won us the league. If we're not a high press team, we're not good enough defensively to be a low block team. We're just not. We haven't got the defensive mindset. We have too many offensive minded players. Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Salah, Ekatike, Vert, Jones.
Our DNA is a high pressure side.
And you can see that by how much fun it was watching the two games.
We're not good enough defensively to be a low block team, because we don't have a natural DM. Our fullbacks, their inclination, they want to attack more than they defend. That's the team we've built. So we can't high press. Against Madrid to an extent, it was high press or low block. The low block kind of worked, but they had a couple of chances, and I don't think they were great on the day. And Conor Bradley had to have the game of his life. And if your hopes on keeping clean sheets depend on Conor Bradley having the game of his life every week, that's tough. He did quite well against Doku, but there was times you couldn't get near him, and it wasn't his fault. Doku was just too quick, too strong sometimes, and that can happen. So that's the worry for me. I think if we want to be this high press, high intensity, all action team, I don't think Mo Salah can be in it. But then you put Mo Salah on the bench on 450 grand, whatever money he's on a week, he's your record. That's a difficult one to
moreover, we actually haven't got anyone else who plays in that position.
But maybe you do put Chiesa on there, or maybe I don't know what the answer. Maybe Vert or something. You can do something where you might not get as much attacking threat, but our best attacking threat sometimes is the press. And when I go back to it, unfortunately at this moment in time, it doesn't look like he can do it 3 times. Maybe in home games you think, you know what, Mo Salah at home, we can cheat a little bit and we'll get into it, and there might be a couple of times a week, but Yeah, I feel really sad saying it, but like at this moment in time, we can't be who we want to be, and I think a lot of it does come down to that situation.
Well, if you're not pressing, we look slow. You know, if everyone's not getting in people's faces, you realise how pedestrian it is what we do at times.
We do lack pace in our team. Yeah. You know, Frimpong was one of the reasons he was signed was to bring electric pace, and he might be, by the way, one of the quickest Liverpool players we've seen for a long time. He's injured. That we do have that.
Kirkes has got pace. We've obviously gone back to Robertson. I think we were all happy with that decision, but these are all the knock-on effects of doing this
difficult.
As well,
it is difficult.
We've got Ekitike's got pace, but he's not being utilised in that way. We talked about it during the game. Kind of changed it around a little bit system-wise and went a little bit more like we done when obviously Bert effectively goes centre forward
which by the way is mad.
Yeah, no, it is and it isn't. But we function better for it, you know. But the still problem remains is, and Cody Gakpo should score a goal, should help, should contribute more in that regard. But he's not lightning fast, is he? But again, you could have. There's a way, and it looked weird. We talked about it pre-match. He could have put Ekitike on the left, and he could have gone with Szoboszlai and Vert through the middle if he thought that was a way to undo it. But this goes back to his kind of problems right now. Is I think he's trying to settle things down, so he's trying to keep it a settled 11. He's trying to get the lads playing something that's understandable that he can build from. But in doing that, I just wonder whether he's just this was not the game to go again. You know, we needed those extra percentages or whatever. We needed some X factor, and we were lacking that, whether that was tactically or in pace or in freshness.
I also think, Paul, like this is all hindsight now. You know, no, I don't think there was many people who would have picked a different team. Would any of you have done anything differently no, and in hindsight now, yeah, maybe, but like given what we'd seen against Madrid,
that was the right
given what we'd seen against Villa and given what we'd seen against Madrid, I think if we'd have lost, having made 3 or 4 changes, we'd all be sat here going, what the fuck's he changed it for? We finally found something that worked.
True. The red flag for me was over McAllister, because I think, and I was look, I agree, by the way. I was fine with him playing.
5 days off.
He's been really, really good. Yeah. But he played Crystal Palace as well. And he got legs everywhere in that game. And feels like we've managed to recover his game from then on. Cool. But again, to borrow a wrestling, part of like going to the well one too many times, Curtis Jones was there. There was no reason why you couldn't bring Macher on for half an hour if you wanted to on that, and just give yourself a little.
You could play Gakpo. You could play Gakpo and put Vert in the middle if you wanted that. So it is that. But
for me, I think I spoke to the BBC beforehand, and I basically said, you know, I like the idea of Florian Wirtz still being a part of it. I thought Cody Gakpo would have potentially came back in, but I was fine with Florian Wirtz. But I said I hope Slot has something up his sleeve, similar to what we did last season, because we completely and utterly nullified them and made them play the way we wanted them to play. And the problem that you have is there's been games, I mean, Aston Villa even, up until Ekitike scores an offside goal, Ekitike is not in that game of football. We are playing with a striker who is, I think, a superstar in the making, but we're not using him in the way we want him to be used, and he's not getting involved in the game as much as we want him to, or he did at the start of the season. So I was kind of hoping that we'd be a little bit more reserved. We're going there. Let's nullify them first, because they're in more form than we are. So I when I saw the team, I was fine with it, because I thought the same players was fine, but I thought that we could have potentially played Sobbo up top with, Curtis Jones again or Florian Wirtz. So I thought we were going to change something tactically in the game to make it harder.
I thought we were going to go high press, and we were going to ask Mo Salah, you've had 5 days off, you're about to go on Egypt duty, which, by the way, you've already qualified, you're fine. Can we just leg these? Can we leg these for 60? And then we look at the bench, and then you look at Chiesa, Jones, potentially Isak, I know he didn't come on, and you look and you're thinking Kirkes maybe got whatever. You think, can we leg these for like 60? Get in their faces, because they're lacking a bit of confidence at times, City. But we didn't. We were so passive.
But we did. We pressed them. We pressed them into corners. We were causing them problems. But again, there was just what you need to keep going. And it was also a bit of what happens when they get out. Then what do you do?
Yeah.
And City are dead good. And it was a bit like they'd not considered what happens if City beat your press. Because what happened was we then found ourselves in a 60-yard chase back to get into shape. defensively, and that takes it out as well. You're chasing shadows. They had on the ball, and the issue is the Wirtz thing on the left hand side. I've actually got no issue with it. I know there's this whole, but he sold him on this big plan. I don't give a shit what plan he sold him on or not. Fucking no plan survives first contact with the enemy. I don't give a shit. He's a brilliant footballer. He plays for Liverpool. He can play wherever we want him to play because he's good enough to play anywhere. Let's be perfectly honest. If we just let him do it. The issue is we just didn't get the ball to him. We just didn't get a bridgehead in their half at any point during that first half in particular. So it might have all worked out really well for us, but the game never allowed us to do that because we'd press them, and then a couple of times we cause an issue. They boot it out. This is really encouraging, but the times when it didn't, the next wave never appeared. Because when you play it out, that's when Gravenberch is meant to come in and go fuck off. Like bang, and then and we're here, or you're on the edge of the half, and Van Dijk then comes in, it does a big header or whatever. Because City are very, very good at playing football and very good.
I'd be interested because you probably spot it more than me, but it looked to me a little bit like Arne Slot had decided. Yeah, we'll try and get him in the face a little bit. We knew what their outball was going to be. Jeremy Doku. That's always going to be, and it looks to me like he decided a little bit. If Connor can just win his battle against Jeremy Doku, they're not getting out either. It just turned out that Doku had the game of his life, and I don't know if that's maybe a little bit of a gamble that's taken. That he's just done it to Vinny Jr. He's going to go again, and when Connor again through no fault, I want to say through no fault of his own, just can't really get that close to Doku. Really, when you lose that battle, all of a sudden. You're worried about the high press all the time because you just know one ball over the top to this lad who's having a really good game. Maybe that plays into it a little bit as well. I
don't know, mate, but my concern was more the fact that the three midfielders overrun our four midfielders because Wirtz was in there. Yeah. You look at Foden, Bernardo Silva and Nico Gonzalez.
Sick and tired of Bernardo Silva.
Honestly, because he's so good and he hates us and I hate him. It's
and I thought he was about 40, but somehow he's still going.
There's three of them there that are completely overrun.
Why isn't he in Saudi Arabia?
I know.
Why haven't they sold fucking him? Is it just to play us?
Yeah. He's just sticking around to be a thorn in our sides. Yeah. And that's the way
I admire the pettiness.
But the fact that it was O'Reilly and Doku on that left-hand side, they ripped us to shreds, mate. And the fact that there's no support there, and the fact that Doku goes past this man quite early, and Konate does that and ends up giving the penalty away, fills him with confidence. If Bradley had just fucking dealt with that and it goes out, the next time Doku's going, it's going to be tough to get past Bradley here. But he's full of confidence because he's bundled it through and everything else. And one thing leads to another.
I think also on that, we knew Doku was the outball and Bradley played front foot. How many times he cut that pass out in the first half? Like a handful of times. Really, really good. Really, very good front foot defending. But the problem is, if you end up one-on-one, and that's going to happen eventually, because you just will, because the City are good passers of the ball, Doku will do you. So what's your plan for when that happens? And normally what happens is, either your winger, Salah, comes back in and doubles up, or your DM goes across and doubles up, and Gravenberch did that a bit.
He got torn apart as well when he went up there.
Yeah, what's not meant to happen? Konate's not meant to get drawn into that fight. He is the next phase. It's like fucking Takeshi's Castle. When you get through the fucking wall, what's the next thing? You got a bit of step that he meant to keep his shape, keep his position, and this is where Doku's normally rubbish because he does all the fancy things. He beats his fullback, and then what? Go on, mate. What are you going to do now? You can't shoot because I've got that blocked. And what are you're going to pass it? Well, you're not very good at passing it, so I'll trust you. I'll trust that I'll cut that out. And Konate's normally really good at that. But in that, again, for the penalty thing, he just gets, because Konate and he's got a point to prove this season. And every time he ends up trying to prove a point, all he proves is that he's not as good as he thinks he is.
What he's proved this season is he's not very good away from home.
But he did add a bit. And very quickly, can I say, there are very few times where I think, Liverpool need a proper number 6 who runs around and boots people and wins. Like Ryan Gravenberch didn't win a single tackle, and he did double up on Doku a couple of times, and he skipped by him a little bit. And I go by it, every footballer has got strengths and weaknesses, and that is Gravenberch's game. He isn't as good defensively. He's better on the ball. He's great carrying the ball, and he's good defensively, but he's not amazing. That is where I think sometimes, when you're looking at maybe if there is a new iteration of this squad to that, which is mad because we spent like so much money that we're looking already ahead to the future, but you kind of are where you are. Someone like, and you're not going to sound like a Moises Caicedo, for example, in that type of mould, makes it easier, because if your winger's not going to get back, which he's not at this moment in time, your DM's going to have to go over there, and I think that's where you need your DM to be a bit more physical, and our DM isn't, and that doesn't help either a little bit. So I think a lot of things went against Liverpool and yesterday, but yeah, it's mad that I can sit here now and say we've spent £500,000 in the summer or whatever we've spent, and there's still bits in the squad where you think, if we had this, if we had that.
The reality is, that it's always been the case that to win the Premier League, you've got to be perfect.
Yeah,
you've got to be a complete 11, a complete squad, and you've got to have a manager who's an absolute fucking genius as well these days to be able to do that. And in rebuilding, we've taken steps back. We absolutely have, and there is a little bit of imbalance, and not all of that is necessarily the fault of the money that Liverpool have spent, because Mo Salah there, you know, like there will be people, there's always someone's always the smartest arse, isn't there, you know, who would have been like, well, I definitely wouldn't have given that contract to Salah, but to see such a precipitous drop off wouldn't have been predictable in that way. And Liverpool have got a lot of smart people who keep eyes over this kind of stuff, in addition to all the other, you know, that level of heartbreak and all that kind of stuff. We're in unprecedented territory. But I agree, it's weird, because it's probably because of how much we've laughed at Chelsea, or we've laughed at Man United. Oh, you're going to spend more money, are you? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you do need to buy the right bits for what you need, and that's another one of those issues. Like Salah's a bit of an issue, and Wirtz is a bit of an issue at the moment, in terms of neither of them quite fit in where we would have them. Gakpo's a bit of an issue in that regard as well. Ekitike's a bit of an issue. I know we really like him, but he's not the finished article by any stretch. He's not good enough yet to go and be the main man and lead that line for Liverpool. So there's loads of issues, but you know, point earlier, we've got good players, so we should be all right. That's what I wanted to focus on. We've just done more slaughter Liverpool for an additional 25 minutes. Fine. How do we find consistency? Chris, is it more of what we've done this week?
I think we've found consistency. It's just consistency being not great and losing games of football.
It's 2 wins in 3 kind of consistency, you think? That kind of what is what we found?
What do you mean?
Consistently getting beat.
6-7, we're getting consistent, yeah.
Don't throw 6-6-7.
No.
Don't.
No, please. And somehow that was worse than Liverpool's loss. Do you know what I mean? For me, Liverpool, they can't have the consistency of title winners because Liverpool don't have that. So they've got to find the next consistency, which somehow gets you top 4, which you're not allowed to drop points, you're allowed to do things. However, there is a bigger clutch of teams now who are going for the top 4. So United are right back in that. Spurs are right back in that from last season, which means it's even harder to get in that game, to get in those final 2 spots, because you just assume Arsenal and Manchester City will fill up the number 1 and number 2 spot. Consistency, I'm with you on this, because the next lot of fixtures should favour us. However, they're teams that will try and exploit the weaknesses that Liverpool could not deal with a couple of weeks ago, that Aston Villa nor Real Madrid really, really targeted. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Liverpool deal with this, because if you want to come to Anfield and you want to play nice football and Liverpool are at the level with the crowd there, I think we're relatively okay. But we go away to the likes of West Ham.
Well, it's Dice then Nuno next.
Leeds, we've got Nottingham Forest, long throws, long balls in behind. You know, they're going to be physical. I think you're about to see if Slot actually solved any of the problems that Liverpool were having 3-4 games ago. That kind of went away because Villa and Real Madrid just came to Anfield and didn't target those
and
big
Guardiola
areas.
Didn't need to.
No, you know.
I would like us to figure out how you want us to play. And you should be able to swap 1 or 2 players in and out of your team, and the team still play the same way. We are a massively different team, dependent. So Gakpo and Wirtz are polar opposites. There's nothing similar between the 2 players whatsoever. You look in midfield, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones. That's quite within reason, similarities there. But if Wirtz goes into that midfield again, it's a completely different team. Robbo and Kerkez, chalk and cheese. Bradley and Frimpong, chalk and cheese. Isak, I don't even know what Isak is because we don't know. Because we haven't seen him yet. So, but him and Ekitike look like they might be able to do the same things if Isak's fit. Salah to whoever is behind him, different players. I think the manager just needs to figure out what he wants Liverpool to be. and then build the team. I want my team to do this, and this, and then look at me 11 and go, these are the players for that. And then if you have to do little tweaks here and there, that's fine, but we just don't have an identity at the moment. And it's really hard to, like Chloe said there, to pin or put your hat on. So I think we can bank on this. The only thing I've got is A, we're Liverpool. B, they're all good players. And C, he's clearly a good manager. Like, you know, he's been successful everywhere he's been. So this idea that he's like some type of fucking idiot, I'm just not buying. Like that's nonsense. He isn't. But I want to know what's our identity, you know. And last year I knew what our identity was. We press high and we play quite risk averse with the ball. This year, I'm not sure what we are. I think he's got 2 weeks now to figure out.
Got all the risk averseness without any of the energy and the quality at the moment. But that goes back to the thing. I don't understand. I'm the same. I've not understood us this season at all.
I don't know what we are.
Until this last week, when we play Villa and Real Madrid, and I know they're at home, but also Real Madrid are fucking brilliant. So it's worth also remembering that, because it's easy to gloss over that because of the misery around the Man City thing. We were miles better than Real Madrid.
And Aston Villa had won the last 4 games.
And Villa are a good team.
But
that was the identity. It was energetic, and if that's the case, some big decisions need to be made, and you know, you have to admit, Slot is going to find himself in trouble if he's not allowed to make big decisions with what he's got. And it goes back to the Salah Wirtz thing are awkward, because you spent a lot of money on Florian Wirtz, and I'm not suggesting we write him off, because I think he can play in loads of positions, but you'd have to stick to it. I think you'd have to just find him a position and train him in it, and say, if you're playing from the left, you're playing from the left, mate. That's it. I'm not having this 4-2-3-1 shit. I think fucking mediocre teams play 4-2-3-1. I just do. Teams don't play with a 10. Good teams don't play with it.
I'm not even asking formation is.
No, but it does. But this is the thing. It matters a bit, because your structure and how you build up and how teams play through you, it does matter. But the fundamental of it, though, is just I want 11 lads on the pitch. I don't want people throwing in slideys bullshit. I want people to get in the grids of the opposition. I want us to outwork the other teams and then let our quality shine through. And I really feel like we got that back then. But then I'm a
bit of a mix of all of you, because I think the high press is where I think Liverpool need to be. That's point one, and that is energy that goes from every player on the pitch. And if you tell me that Mo Salah can't do that 3 times a week, I'll be like, cool.
Yeah,
then he can't play 3 times a week. If he needs to play 60 minutes in a game because he's tired, cool. Because bring the next lad in who's going to work dead hard for me, because that's all I want to see. And to be honest with you, anyway, he shouldn't be afforded a different role in the side if he's not producing the goods in the same way that he produced them last season. On some sentimental value, time changes everything. So for me, that's where we need to get back to. I actually don't mind the Gakpo-Wirtz thing, but I take your point completely. Wirtz to Gakpo's a big old shift. So there probably does need to be some level of consistency out there. Okay, no problem. In terms of the middle of the park, I want to see Szoboszlai enforce himself on games time and time again. He didn't do that at the weekend against Manchester City, did he?
But then again, he's been man of the match in every. He's like a one-man horse. Like Christ, he's been man of the match in every game. At some point, you know, you're going to have a dip in form, and other people need to pick you up. And I think once again, he's had to try and put out fires all over the pitch for everybody else. That like surely he's exhausted and like.
Well, Man City
he's like,
tired.
oh God, lad, help me out.
Man City tired and Szoboszlai didn't. And Szoboszlai got better as the game wore on again, and you see that consistently for him. He's better in the second half.
That was our first shot on target when he had his 76
By the
minutes
way,
into the game.
it's a great save.
I mean, we'd scored a goal.
What about Virgil van Dijk's one in the first half from our own half?
Stuffing off, mate.
Doesn't count. Well, it's going to be interesting when Alex Isak comes back. Because again, he's gonna have to play. You think, like, you know, at some point. So that's maybe he comes back is brilliant, and then whatever the master plan was all falls into place. But
that's the thing.
But that's hoping. It's hoping
because you put a lot of faith in the egg basket of Mo Salah, because he scores goals and gets loads of assists. If he's dropping off, Ekitike, he's really good, but he's not there yet, and Gakpo's never. That he's a very solid 7 to 8 out of 10. You know, week in week out kind of football. He'll get you 10 to 15 goals a season. Sound. if we want to be an exceptional team, we need someone who's going to score 25 to 30 goals. And Isak's supposed to be that, and we haven't played him. We haven't been able to play him yet this season. So it could be as simple as that. But I'm also terrified about putting all this pressure on Isak, who's not had the pre-season, all of a sudden being the X factor that totally catalyses our season for him.
The other thing is, I agree that Maka had a really good 2 games, but that is only 2 games this season.
I thought he was good against Palace as well.
I thought he was all right. For me, it's a case of you've got Robbo who can't probably go 3 games a week, so you're going to have to start trusting Kirkes at some point. You're going to have to, and that doesn't mean Kirkes starts 2 games of football and Robbo has 1. It means Robbo has 2 and Kirkes, whatever one you're most confident in playing him in, he's got to play that role. I think with Mo Salah, whoever his backup is, or we did a 4-4-2 kind of thing with Florian Wirtz against Frankfurt. Whatever the change is, if Salah can't play 3 games in a row doing a high press, you've got to find the next thing there out. Alexander Isak, he's not going to be able to come back and play 90 minutes of football 3 games a week. So you've got him and Ekitike, but then what are we doing with Ekitike with Alexander Isak coming back? Because Ekitike and Szoboszlai has been Liverpool's 2 best players this season, and I would hate if Alexander Isak came back and look, this will be the case, he just goes in and we don't find a place for Ekitike, because Ekitike, when I look at him, I genuinely believe he's got the qualities to be a superstar. I see it there. Your Gakpo situation, I think he's good, but it's so repetitive, and it's like...
What did you say?
Hated that as well. But I just think, there's just a lot of question marks over several people, and Maka is another one for me. Like, put Curtis Jones in a couple of games. I want to see every lad fighting for every challenge, willing to run the extra yards, winning individual battles, putting one on a team. I've never felt more like Michael Keane than that. Roy Keane, where he was like, what if I'm having a bad game? I'm like, just leave one on someone, and it's like, lads, I just show me a bit of that as well if you can't.
Can
no need to injure
just
anyone.
do that for us, because he gets booked every game anyway.
Yeah, you may as well do it for something proper.
Do it legitimately.
Exactly.
I think to answer the original question, I think we've all agreed Liverpool need to get their intensity back.
Yeah.
Ironic that the name of the fella's Buck who's on the other bench. We need maybe we need Pep back, but Liverpool, they just look like at times, unfortunately, especially away, they just lack that little bit of mojo, that little bit of spark, and it might be confidence, it might be changing the team, it might be the horrendous, whatever it is. Liverpool just look a little bit fragile and a little bit
vulnerable. Constantly.
Just I don't know the word is, but lacking that little bit of intensity, and the Premier League's too hard now. Now more than ever, the Premier League is as intense as it's ever been. You don't get a minute piece, and if you have to. Unfortunately, we've built this very technically sound football team, and the Premier League's turned into a yard doggy league. Well, the league isn't changing, so we're going to have to adapt to it. So I think the manager very quickly needs to figure out which of his lads can get a bit scruffy, who can run the most, who can get themselves, because. If we work as hard as the other team event, we'll win because our quality is much better than most of them. We're not there yet.
Look at the teams that we're competing with in that sort of clutch in the Premier League now. The ones who are Sunderland are in 4th, Tottenham are in 5th, Villa are in 6th, United are.
But they all run.
What they are. Bournemouth are just below us, Palace are just below us, Brighton. But you're right. The Sunderland thing. Sunderland are not there because they've got 11 brilliant players.
They just leg it.
They are just all bought in on what they're doing. It's being disruptive and it's getting in the faces. Again, we're saying the same thing. It's intensity. Liverpool need to find a way to be much more intense and then trust that their quality. It should be a war. It should be a war against Liverpool every single time. And I don't mean this of again, let's go and snap people. I really don't mean that. It's bullshit. I just mean be very hard to play against.
Is it tactical or is it the players, though, Paul?
Look, I don't know, mate, and we haven't got time to get into it because we're well over. But one thing I will say, Arne Slot's got a couple of weeks now. Heaven help him if there's any photos of him in Dubai on the beach. He's fucked if he does that.
He really needs
whether it's fine and every other manager does it or not. perception plays a huge role in
Someone
things.
should be in his ear telling them
Oh,
not
the
to
fucking
do that.
Anfield Raps heads will go in a huge way if they see him on the beach. My God.
Fly your family here this time, Anna. I get, he's living away from his family, isn't he? So I understand he needs to go and see them. Maybe perception-wise.
Go back to
some good restaurants here.
Walk around the Christmas markets, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be all right.
Enjoying Christmas market.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see. The games are coming up are much more winnable for Liverpool, but you're right, they actually now have to go and win them, because it's all well and good saying that we've faced an imbalance of our toughest fixtures in this opening run. That is actually true, particularly compared to like teams like Arsenal and Man City. Fine. But cool, if that's a reason, then you've now got to go and do it. And I remember us having this in the past where we had all our hard games at the start of the season. Well, once they're out the way, you've now got, it's a bit scary.
You can be dented by all of those fixtures, though, can't you? That's the problem.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Scarred is probably the better word.
Yeah, no, they dinged up, like you're right. So they've got to dust themselves down, polish themselves right back up again and get back on it and try and win some football matches again. Right, more from us.
We've got a big run for third this season anyway. It's going to be exciting.
But no, just to this point, we're not going to win the league. You've got to. Liverpool's aim now is to finish third and win the Champions League. And people might scoff at the Champions League thing, but I like, if we can find a way to win, to get back and win football matches, there's no reason. It sounds stupid to say, could we lose so many games? But we could legitimately still have a brilliant end to this season.
The problem I've got, and I do think Liverpool could turn it around and could be good enough to win a big competition this season, is that we might not be able to take our focus away from the Premier League to put all our eggs in the basket. Yeah. That's the scary thing for me, because it's easy when you're PSG to go, sound, don't matter, we're 20 points ahead of everyone, we'll just focus on the Champions League for a bit. I don't think Liverpool are going to be in that situation.
But the thing is, you need to be in that, the form, it's not the form we're in, because it's good form is like 5 to 6 games, of course, but if you win 2 of every 3 and you throw a couple of draws in every now and again, that feel...
draw?
I know, wild, innit?
Wow,
wild,
6 wins, 5 losses, 18-4, 17 against.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's our form.
Yeah.
18-4, 17 against. You've got laughed at United for 2 seasons about that type of shit.
You've got to have some. You've got to have some. You've got to have something to aim for. And if you're the players now, I think that.
All I'm saying is, you don't need to be 2.5 points a game to fucking finish in the top 4. You don't. You know what I mean? If you can find a will where you can get to 2, you'll probably piss it. But that is still room for improvement.
63,
we still got to get to that.
64, 65, probably top 4 this season. It's probably third. Yeah. Arsenal win it with about 80.
Yeah. They're not winning. I think City's still.
Really?
I think City are going to win the league as well.
Arsenal will shit.
Yeah, I said a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? If Haaland stays fit, I still back City.
Cool. Yes, more from us. Redmenplus.com. If you want to do the Bias Football podcast with us, I was really looking forward to what Arsenal dropping points, pricks. Fucking Liverpool, you've done this to us. You've robbed that joy of us. But yeah, there are a couple of other bits and pieces, some crazy decisions happening around the Premier League, not just at Anfield. So come and join us over on redmenplus.com for that show in about 15 minutes time. Hope to see you over there. Ta-ra.